If you are someone who owns a machine just like the ones behind me, then there is almost a guarantee that you have dealt with that sinking feeling when a print job fails, you know, when everything seems to be going right, it's going perfect, and then all of a sudden you are hit with streaks, misaligned, and the dreaded head clog. Suddenly everything comes to a halt. Your print shop is down because you cannot get that clog out. You are now wasting ink trying to get it out. You are tossing out film, and overall you are just losing money left and right. It gets frustrating, it gets expensive, and it is truly a nightmare. And I'm here to tell you that those big clogs and those moments are caused by usually If you guys are new here, hi, my name is Mick. I am the owner and the head of production here at AMSTransfers.com. We print all things from DTF transfers to UV DTF to screen print. Any type of transfer that there is, we do it. So I think I know a little bit about DTF transfers. I also have 4 DTF printers. So I am quite busy with these, and I understand the tasks that it takes to make sure that these printers are staying top-notch. So let's just dive straight into the video. I am here to be your one-stop place for all DTF printer maintenance. And unfortunately, it's the price you pay as a DTF printer owner, and it can be a very expensive one. We're going to talk about the daily, the weekly, and the monthly maintenance needed to make sure that your printers stay in pristine condition. We're also going to be going over some of the biggest issues that people face when they have DTF printers, and maybe some solutions that you could use to make sure that your shop is running smoothly. We want to make sure that those prints are coming out vibrant and clear every single time. You've made a big investment in these printers, and you want to make sure that it is working like the workhorse it should be. My main mission today is to give you the essential tips and guides that you need to make sure that your printer stays running smoothly, and not only just for a few weeks or a few months, but that these things can last you for years and they stay in the same condition as if you just unwrapped the box. It's important to note that it is not just about making sure that you get these clogs out once and then you're done. It is about making sure that you can save time, money, and energy when it comes to these printers. I mean, you really don't want to be spending too much time, and again, like I said, money, it gets expensive when you're having to waste it on testing or you're having to drain through inks. But again, I'll get into that a little bit later. I've got it all for you. So let's get into it. Okay, so first we're going to start with your daily tasks. These are going to be things that are non-negotiable when it comes to the daily routine maintenance of these printers. First daily task you're going to do is you're going to shake your white ink tanks. Not only the white ink tanks, but the white that you're going to be putting into the ink tank. So on the back of the printers, you're going to have a white ink tank. It's going to be where the white pushes through. And the white, I would say, is the most important color of the DTF printer. It lays on the back of every single print. It helps to keep your prints vibrant and also helps for the durability of the print. And you might be asking, why just white? Well, the biggest thing is that white pigment is dense, so it's going to settle at the bottom. If you ever have felt a DTF bottle or a white ink bottle, you can feel that it's much heavier than if you were to shake it up. That's because it's all settled at the bottom. So when you don't shake it up or you don't shake up the tanks, all of that white is going to be down at the bottom of your ink tank. And I'm sure you can just guess the type of problems that will come when that happens. So you'll even see in my vlogs that we've done it for years. Every time we refill the white ink tanks with white ink, or we come in the morning, we make sure we shake it. You want to make sure that it's all not settling at the bottom. You don't want any thick pieces trying to come through the line. You can do it for all your inks if it makes you feel comfortable, but make sure it is the white ink at least. Okay, next on the daily task is the capping station. So you guys know that like the print head and the cap station, they're buddies, they're friends. They work together. And you might think cleaning a print head is a daily necessity, but you might not think necessarily cleaning the capping station. I mean, it just kind of sits there, right? The print head is where the ink comes out, and ink and dust can actually build up on the surface of it and dry up there. But the capping station is where the print head essentially is going to dock. Think of it as a seal, and it needs to be an airtight seal to prevent any air from getting through. And if that seal has caked up ink around it or has dust around it or whatever, the seal is not going to be tight, and that is going to cause air to get in. And if air gets into the printhead, it's going to cause dried up ink, and you're going to be missing a whole lot of lines during your nozzle check. Now, when it comes to actually cleaning the printheads and the capping stations, for the printheads, you really need to be careful with this. You don't want any type of moisture or anything bad in there. If you've seen my vlogs in the past, we just use something like this to kind of just get the dried up ink and prevent any dust from getting in there. Just avoid any harsh chemicals. Those print heads are going to be very expensive to replace, so just make sure that you are treating them like a little precious baby. Now, for the capping station, the main part you want to clean is going to be the rubber edge around it. That's what's going to cause the seal to be closed. If that gets gunked up with ink and all of that nasty stuff, it's not going to seal completely. So you can just take like what I just showed you, or a little cotton swab or whatever, and just kind of gently wipe around the rim of it. Make sure that all of the ink gets off. There is going to be dried up ink around there, so just make sure that you are allowing yourself for that print head to not get any direct air to it. Okay, so we've done shaking of the white ink. We have also cleaned our capping station. What is our third daily task? And that again is going to be something that you probably all know, but run a nozzle check. So I don't think I've ever met someone who owns a DTF printer that comes in and they just instantly start printing. That just doesn't happen. You need to make sure that you are running, one, some cleanings on it, but two, you need to run a nozzle check. That is going to tell you the state that your nozzles are in for the day. If you come in and there is a ton of clogs, there's going to be missing lines out of your nozzle check. So I'll attach some pictures of what a good nozzle check and a bad nozzle check looks like, but you want to make sure that you are running them before you start printing. It's going to save you a lot of headaches throughout the day. And even if you're not planning on printing that day, just make sure that you're running it. You want to make sure that you're at least doing some little cleanings, little ink through the lines. You don't want the ink to stay stagnant in the lines. That will cause them to dry up. DTF ink dries very quickly. Any type of air, anything getting to that ink is going to cause it to have a bad reaction. So just make sure that you are at least running it through the lines. So even if there is a small clog there, you're at least getting it out every single day. Then also, just to prevent that bad clogs from happening or any bad nozzle checks, make sure that you are watching your ink levels. Again, something that you would just think that's common sense, but you would be surprised when you're having a super busy, crazy day that you forget to fill your white or you forget to fill a yellow, and then that causes a lot of it. It happened to me once in my 5 years of printing with a DTF printer, and let me tell you, it was the worst, like 2 hours. I couldn't get the ink to go through. It was just a headache, not worse. So just watch a lot of DTF printers now, this one is one of our newer ones, they actually have sensors that if it reaches a certain level, it's gonna start beeping. It's really annoying, we hate it. But it does let us know that the ink is getting low and we need to change. Number 4 on the list is going to be to just wipe down your encoder strip. So the encoder strip is just something that's really actually easy to miss. Sometimes we even miss it, but it basically helps to communicate with your printer where it's at. And when I say where your printer, I meant the printer carriage. It basically tells the carriage where it's at. Or if there's gunk all in there, it's going to misinterpret, or your printer carriage is going to misinterpret where it's at. That can cause misalignments. It can cause jittery little lines. It's not something you want to do. Super easy. You don't want to put any chemicals on it or anything. Again, guys, you really don't want any chemicals near your printers. There are certain chemicals, I mean, we use them that are specifically for printers. Those are fine, but you don't want to be using like your house cleaning stuff or anything like that to clean these. It's just not worth it. So just even like a nice dry, lint-free, or just a little bit of water, whatever, just clean it off. Be gentle, not aggressive. Skin oils are also super bad for the encoder strip, so make sure that you're not using your fingers to use it. You want to make sure that it is actually just a perfectly clean cloth or something that is not going to basically be left on the encoder strip. Okay, so we've gone over our daily to-dos and your daily maintenance list. However, you might be thinking, I don't print every day, you know, I don't have a big enough volume for that. I don't have anything, and that's okay. You don't have to, but you do want to make sure that you're taking the right precautions daily if you are not doing that. So if you're planning to not print that day, or you're planning to not even turn on the printer, you just want to make sure that you have some kind of capping solution. Guys, I would recommend putting capping solution in your printer every single night. I've shown this in my vlogs in the past. It's basically just a moisture. It prevents anything from getting in the capping station. It helps to also keep the print head moist, and also just helps to clear if anything's out. I haven't had any issues with clogs quite a while, knock on wood, and I think that is something big that helps with it. So if you are planning to not turn on your printer that day, or maybe even for a few days, you can always throw in some wet capping solution, and that will keep them moist so that when you do go to turn it on, hopefully you aren't met with a nightmare problem. Now, if you are planning on leaving it for a few weeks, that might be something that you have to take extra precautions for. That could include running the ink out of your lines or making sure that you are protecting the printhead at a more extensive rate. That's something that I can go a little more into detail in a different video, but you just want to make sure that you're actually taking the extra precautions if you're planning on not using your DTF printer for a few weeks. You just are starting to notice that your print lines are not going perfectly every morning. You're having to run more nozzle checks, you're having to run more head cleanings, and it's just not turning out the way you want every single time. That's kind of what happened with us. We were noticing that we were having bigger nozzle checks. It was causing more issues when we came in the morning to have so many printer head cleanings, and also it would cause clogs throughout the day. So I would definitely recommend just adding a capping solution into your routine. Super easy, it's an ease of mind, and it's just honestly great for the longevity of your printer. So now we've covered the daily tasks. Let's switch gears and do the weekly tasks. These are things that you need to do at least once a week to ensure that your printer stays up to date, stays in the best condition possible, also saves you any hassle. So the first one is going to be deep cleanings. So like I was saying, you typically will run a cleaning every single morning, but there are things called deep cleanings where you load ink and it basically just flushes out the lines. It can be a little more of a pricey factor because you are going to be wasting ink, if that's what you want to call it, but it will help in the long run of just cleaning out the lines completely. This is also a good thing to do if you start noticing that you are having a little bit of a harder time with those nozzle checks, like I was saying. So you've done the capping solution, you're doing your typical cleanings, and nothing is still working. Might be time to run a few deeper cleanings during the week. This is just a good sign. Again, it doesn't really hurt anything. It just does get a little pricey because you are going to be running ink through. Some people see it as a waste, but it will help. Next is going to be just making sure that you are lubricating your printer. So I'm not talking about the actual like print head or anything like that. Things like the carriage rail, which is the metal rod that the print head goes along. Lubricating that can help reduce friction and keeps everything running smoothly and accurately. If you don't lubricate, those can usually get some wear and tear in them, and you'll get more like jerky movements. It might cause your printers to stop if it can't go back, which can lead to misalignments or jagged lines again. So just make sure that you're lubricating it, and please do not just go grab some WD-40 or some random oil from your garage. Make sure that it is actual oil that you can use to lubricate your machine. So there are manufacturers only type of oil. Invest in some, it'll help, but you just avoid that, guys, because the WD-40 is going to cause gunk up, and the household oils is also just going to it's going to leave residue around it, and you don't want that to happen. Number 3 for the weekly task is going to be just checking your waste ink. So some printers have a waste ink attached to it. If you guys have seen our vlogs, you see that we use huge water bottles to catch the ink in it. You just want to make sure that that's not overflowing, that's not causing issues. That happens, it might overflow, and so just make sure that you are keeping an eye on that ink waste. It's going to fill up quickly, especially if you're doing the cleanings or if you're having huge clogs. So just keep an eye on it and get rid of it when needed. Some printers like ours, they do separate the white ink from the colored ink, so you want to keep an eye on 2 of those different inks. And some printers do have an automatic cleaning cycle. If that is the case with your printer, that waste ink can also be a red flag that something is going wrong. If you're noticing that the ink is filling up faster than usual or not, maybe it's not cleaning enough, there could be a clogs. So if you have one that automatically cleans, make sure you're keeping an eye on that. And also weekly, I like to do this daily, but weekly is definitely recommended, is that you're going to clean the wiper blade. So the wiper blade is basically the blade right next to the print head that's going to wipe off the excess ink before the print head goes back. So if it does not get cleaned properly, it cannot do its job properly. It might cause streaks on the print head, it might cause debris to get stuck under the print head before it goes back to the capping station. So just keep an eye on that. Make sure you're cleaning it. Again, I personally recommend daily. It's super easy. It's a little wiper, But if you want to do it weekly, you can also do that. Just take a nice lint-free cloth, wipe it down super fast. I usually do it after every head cleaning, but maybe that's excessive. I don't know. Parts for this printer are very expensive, so we just want to make sure that we are taking the best care of them that we can. Guys, if you need to clean it extra or you need to take the extra steps, do it. It's going to save you money, and I know you're thinking, I don't have time for that. I can't do that. Trust me, I tell myself that all the time, but it is going to save you in the long run if you are making sure that you're maintaining these printers to the best that they can be. Quality of your prints will definitely show for it, as well as just the time that you're spending dealing with headaches versus actually like growing your business or actually printing transfers. Okay, so that's weekly. Now we're going to do the monthly deep dive, or maybe even less frequent. But this is definitely something that I would recommend to at least do monthly. The first thing I would say for monthly is to check your dampers. So the dampers are just the little plastic boxes that are attached to your print head. They act as little mini filters and regulate the pressure and flow into the print head. So just imagine what happens if that goes out or that gets damaged. You are then going to be dealing with a lot of ink dropouts, a lot of colors missing, lines missing. Again, this will be something hopefully that you will catch in your nozzle check, but if it gets so bad or you're not checking it regularly, then it's going to be causing bigger problems. If you guys have seen my videos, you would see that one of our printers a little while ago actually had this issue, and the little damper was just clogged and it was dried up ink that was in it. So we did have to take a syringe and pull the ink through and get that damper back to full working capabilities. It did eventually get there, but just make sure that you are checking for those and watching them. It's again a little task, but if you catch it early enough, it will really save you the headaches. And guys, let me tell you, the amount of headaches that we got from that printer, it was like 3 weeks of just trying to figure out why the white was dropping out, what was going on, and that was ended up to be what it was. So monthly check number one will be to check your dampers. And one way that you can tell if something is wrong with them is if you can see like little air bubbles, or maybe you can see some discoloring in there. It's going to be the first sign that something is not going right. So those are just some little things to look out. Next on the monthly checklist, you're going to just check your ink lines. Simple as that. They could not even cause issues. We definitely want to check them. Over time, stuff is going to get in them, residue will get into them, and they can cause buildup in the ink tubing. And this is why we say monthly, because it is a little bit more of a headache when it comes to this. It's going to be a whole procedure. You're going to have to run some solution through your ink lines. It gets it all cleared out, keeps any residue from happening, and it also dissolves any buildup. You do want to make sure that you are running all of the solution through it, whatever you put in there. If it's a manufacturer solution, or if you're just using some water and a little bit of whatever, you do want to make sure that you are getting it all out before you put ink back into it. And there again, like I've been talking to you guys about, there is different types of solutions for different things. So just do your research. You can watch my vlogs, see what we use, but we use a certain capping solution for the moisture print heads. We also use a different solution when it comes to actually cleaning the capping station, and we also use a different type of one for actually cleaning the print lines through. So I will actually, maybe I'll make a video on a more in-depth details on what we use, like the actual products we use in our print shop, but you do want to look into that. Don't use just plain water, don't use Windex, don't use anything crazy like that. I'm telling you right now, do not do that. Now, next on the monthly to-do list is you're just gonna check your firmware, your software. So just like every type of tech or any type of firmware, you know, iPhones have updates, you gotta check to make sure that everything is up to date. One, they usually will fix any bugs that they've been having in their software, but two, if your printer and your computer are talking two different languages, it's not going to work out. You're going to have a lot of system errors. You're gonna just make sure that it's all up to date. You can even update it overnight. It'll be perfect by the time you get there in the morning. So even if your printer is perfectly cleaned and it's perfectly calibrated, software and the hardware do have to work together. And it's partnership, guys, and they need to be on the same page. Okay, so we've talked about the monthly, weekly, all of that to do on how you can maintain the actual printer, but making sure that your prints are on track and you're producing the best quality possible does go beyond just the printers themselves. You need to be making sure that your consumables are also up to par, and that means the film, the powder adhesive, the ink, everything. That is the foundation that starts the process. You can tune your printer perfectly, you can clean it religiously, but if you are feeding it cheap materials, then you are truly just looking for trouble. You don't want to cheap out. I know how nice it is to look at some film and think that, oh, I could get away with the cheaper one, but there is a reason that it is cheaper. And a lot of complaints that come from DTF printers, and I would say the number one problem when I was looking into this and I was researching and I was talking to people, is that it isn't even the printer itself that's causing. It actually comes down to the film or the ink that they're using. It comes down to people getting it from cheap and sketchy suppliers, people who are getting it from companies they haven't even heard of, just to save a few $100s. But then that few $100s, they're going to have to refund in orders when their customers don't like the quality of the work that they're getting. So you do want to make sure that you're getting your ink from a good brand, someone that is known in the industry, rather than someone sketchy that just like sends you a email one day. Proper storage is truly vital for the performance and the lifespan you expect. It needs to be stored in a cool, dark, dry place, somewhere between 59 degrees and 77 degrees Fahrenheit. You'd want to keep it away from direct sunlight. You want to keep it away from any freezing cold air and also any heaters. You don't want it to get too hot. And outside of the actual storage, you do want to make sure you are using ink that is compatible with your actual printer. Best for ink, I would say, is to use the actual name brand of your printer. So for us, we use Audley ink because we have Audley printers. We have made the mistake of trying different inks, and let me tell you right now, guys, let me be the person to tell you, don't do it. Just don't. Stick with if you found an ink that works for you, stick with it. Don't go cheaper. Don't go because someone is whatever. It is always best to just stick with the brand that you know, or the brand with your printer. There's a reason that they're creating inks for your printers. And also, you don't want to mix different inks. So if you are planning on trying a new ink, I recommend not, but if you are planning on trying it, you have to make sure that you are draining the old ink completely out of your system, because you don't want to mix two inks. Your film that you get needs just as much care as the ink itself. The film needs to be stored in a clean, dry place, away from direct sunlight, heat, and especially moisture. Keep it away from moisture, and that's between 60 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. And even more crucial for film is you need a relative humidity of 60%. Lower than 60% would be ideal. Humidity is bad. Very, very bad for DTF film. It can absorb the moisture from the air, especially in humid climates. We live in Houston, Texas, so we have seen this firsthand. If the film gets damp while it's sitting in storage or it's sitting on the printer, it will cause like smudges in the ink. It can cause improper curing, and the powder sometimes can't even be applied properly. Air conditioners and dehumidifiers are crucial if you live in a humid place. So if you guys have seen in our shop, we do have humidifiers as well as dehumidifiers. It is hot and humid here in Houston, so we run our air conditionings, and if we realize that the humidity is getting too high, we run a dehumidifier. And this also just doesn't even go for like DTF film that's like comes in like the rolls. This is also talking about if you're storing your transfers, you want to make sure that you're storing them the same way. Avoid moisture, because even if it's printed already, it can still collect moisture. It can still cause some wetness on the film itself. So just make sure you're also storing your finished DTF transfers properly. Okay, so we have sorted through the consumables, but you might be asking about the actual humidity when it comes to the printers. And any DTF print shop will tell you that humidity in the room temperature has the biggest impact when it comes to the printer. Controlling the environment that your printer is in is one of the most key and essential things that you can do. Ideal conditions are anywhere from 68 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit with a relative humidity of 40 to 60%. Staying within this sweet spot is really key, because what happens if you don't, like if it gets too dry or too hot, that actually can cause your ink to evaporate rather quickly right there on the print heads. And this can lead to clogs, even if you're doing all the daily and weekly maintenance check. And actually, if it gets too cold, the ink can almost almost turn into mush, like sluggish mush. When it gets really cold here, we try to actually run humidifiers to make sure that we are running keeping the ink lines smooth and not like solid, because ink can freeze. And this can cause problems with consistent printing over any design. And it's not that there's actually clogs or like the ink lines are blocked. It's just that the ink is not flowing through them properly. So you just want to make sure that you are keeping the humidity and the temperature that the room is in just in the best conditions possible. You can get a super cheap humidity tracker on Amazon, and it just helps you see where everything is in your warehouse, your office, wherever that printer is. Another just small tip when it comes to temperature and the printers is in the winter, a big thing that we have found, you just want to turn your printer on maybe 10 to 15 minutes before you actually start printing. Just lets the ink and the equipment kind of warm up a little bit, and also keeping the humidifier going right when you get into the office, keep it close by. But it doesn't come just down to the printer itself or the consumables. You do have the dryer to make sure you're maintaining. So you have done all of your nozzle checks, you've done all your head cleanings, and then it came through the dryer and it was looking terrible. I've been there. I think I literally have a vlog of me cleaning out my dryer. So you do want to make sure that you are cleaning the dryer. And how you do that is, first and foremost, make sure obviously that your dryer is turned off, unplugged. It's going to be hot, guys. You can let it cool down a little bit, but still, if you use it while it's still warm, it might help when it comes down to cleaning the residue or the oil that's around there. If you leave it just a little warmed up, you don't have to do this daily or weekly even. You can do it periodically. You can add it to your monthly to-do list. And if you've made it this far of the video, you're probably like, this sounds like quite a to-do list. This sounds like a headache. This sounds like a checklist. And yeah, it does. It's a few extra steps. It's actually quite a few extra steps for your daily printing shop and your daily or weekly or monthly business. But at the end of the day, the payoff is going to be huge. You don't even want to see it as a task or a chore. You want to see it more as an investment in the machinery and the job that you are spending and investing so much money in. Because if you take care of these printers, they will act accordingly. You will have less headaches when it comes to dealing with difficult customers who aren't happy with the quality. You will have less headaches when it comes to having to figure out what's going on. So just really maintaining it is going to help you in the long run of just running your actual business. So you really just need to shift your mindset completely when it comes to the actual maintenance and taking care of the equipment that you have. These things are the core of your business if you are a transfer, or they are the backbone that is going to help your t-shirt brand. So you do just want to make sure that you're treating them, like I said, little baby. And if this does seem like a little too much for you, too much of a headache, you're done with it, you can always work with us. We do AMS Transfers Plus. That is essentially a print-on-demand transfer business where we handle the production and the DTF printing side, and you handle your customers and your website and your designs and all of that. If you want more information on that, the link is down below, but it literally just saves you from having to handle this. I deal with headaches at least probably twice a week from one of these printers, so I don't want you to have to handle that. But if you are interested in booking a demo, you can, like I said, do that below. But thank you guys so much for watching. If there's anything more in depth that you want to know about DTF printers or how to manage your DTF printers, let me know in the comments, because I would love to do a video for you guys. But I will see you next week.
Create like a dreamer, design like a